Hey everybody, it's Marcia from Everything Wine & More. I'm the Vintages Room Manager here at the store, and I'm going to talk to you today about Cabernet Sauvignon, probably one of the world's most famous grapes, and what some might consider the very best red grape. But did you know that Cabernet Sauvignon actually came from a union between Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc? So of course, many of us know Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc, but did you know that they got together and they made this baby called Cabernet Sauvignon? And like Sauvignon Blanc and like Chardonnay in the other videos that you've seen, this is an international grape variety, meaning it grows all over the world. Literally almost in every country that's a grape growing region, you can find Cabernet Sauvignon. It is often blended, sometimes by itself. Mostly in the United States, you'll see it as a single varietal wine, but in Bordeaux, where it's kind of king, it's always going to be blended. It's a bit of their insurance policy there in Bordeaux. So left bank versus right bank, you might hear those terms. So left bank, you're gonna see more of that Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend, but you will see Petit Verdot and Merlot and perhaps a little bit of Cabernet Franc. Whereas on the right bank, you'll see definitely more Merlot and Cabernet Franc as the main grape varieties with Cabernet Sauvignon blended in. So in Bordeaux, it's definitely what they call this insurance policy. It's a late ripening grape and it needs a lot of heat to ripen. So those pips that are inside, the seeds that are inside of a grape, those need to be ripe. Otherwise you're gonna have those green flavors like green pepper, capsicum, jalapeno pepper, and you don't want those in your Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's really important to have a long growing season and those warm autumns to fully ripen those pips. Taste profile of our Cabernet Sauvignon, typically blackcurrant or cassis. Sometimes if you think of those medicines that you take of blackcurrant, you might get that smell of that really strong smell of cassis. And you'll get more of that medicinal menthol blackcurrant in the Australia versions of Cabernet Sauvignon. You'll get some black cherry, you might get some mint, you might get some cedar, some graphite or what they call pencil shavings. So those are the typical aromas and flavors of a Cabernet Sauvignon. So we can get anything lots of minerality in there as well. And let's see, where are our highest plantings of Cabernet? France, the United States, Chile actually grows a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon. And again, France, its home is Bordeaux. So if you really want to go full on, you can try some of those first growths, the 5 main first growths that are from Bordeaux that are very famous and that all have Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend. I mean, if you have $2,500 lying around, you can get this Chateau Lafite, which is one of the more famous of the first growth chateau from Pauillac. And in here, you're gonna get that graphite, the cedar, the pencil shavings, the black cherry, the cassis notes. This is a 2010, so this is one of the best vintages in Bordeaux. Bordeaux is very vintage driven. So when you're looking at wines from Bordeaux, you're gonna wanna look at the vintage. Some are better than others, and some just sort of get caught in between those good vintages, so they kind of get left behind. Doesn't mean they're bad, it just means that they're just not as well known. If you have $2,500 laying around, you too can have a bottle of Chateau Lafite. But for more value-driven Bordeaux, look for something from the Haute Médoc. Something like this Chateau Saint-Jacques, for example, has 51% Cabernet Sauvignon. So more than half is Cabernet Sauvignon, but as I mentioned, it is a blend. So there's Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot in here. And this will only set you back $40, not so bad on your wallet. In the United States, they're typically known for their big, vanilla, oaky, kind of in-your-face Cabernet Sauvignons, but there also is some really great restrained use of oak in the United States, and there's some great examples. And also some famous wineries that are coming out of the Napa Valley and out of other parts of the United States, California especially. So what you might hear the words like Camus, this guy right here, a very famous Cabernet Sauvignon, as well as Opus One and Screaming Eagle. You might have heard those terms before. And also this guy here. So remember, if you watched the Chardonnay video, you would have known about Chateau Montelena and the winner of that Paris tasting, Stag's Leap, was the winner of the red, the Cabernet Sauvignon, in that Paris tasting. This happens to be an example. This is not the one, of course, but this is the Artemis from Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, and it's about $87 on the shelf. Camus will set you back about $100. But you can also get some really great little wines from the United States. So if you're looking more into Central Coast, so Paso Robles, which is further south, San Luis Obispo, Monterey County, down in there, really nice examples of Chardonnay, a little bit leaner due to all of the Pacific breezes that blow across the vineyards. So something like this Poppy would be a good example, and it's gonna be under $30. Trendy right now is those wines that are aged in bourbon barrels. So something like this, 1,000 Stories, where you have a Cabernet Sauvignon that's aged in bourbon barrels. You're gonna get a lot more of those vanilla tones. So if that's something that you really like, this should be one that you could try. And then we have a very, very special bottle here. So the Ridge Winery, more known for its Zinfandels than anything. Their Montebello is a very famous Cabernet that is coming from their winery. And this particular wine is usually only in restaurants. So we're actually lucky to have it here. And if you have, about $570 in your wallet that you want to part with, you too can have a bottle of Montebello. And this is a 2008, highly, highly collectible, highly ageable. So Montebello. Chile, one of the most popular regions for Cabernet is the Maipo Valley, located in central Chile. So if you're familiar at all with Chile, Santiago, the capital, is located there. And we have the Santa Emma here, which is a really nice old school style of Cabernet from Chile. You're gonna get blackcurrant, fig paste, baking spices, and a little bit of a telltale tar in there. Australia has a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon that they grow as well. You can look for Cabernet from Barossa Valley, McLaren Vale, and also from this place called Coonawarra. So again, featuring Yalumba, the oldest family winery in Australia. Coonawarra has a red soil called Terra Rossa, a lot of iron oxide in it. And so you get a lot of those mineral notes, as well as the quintessential eucalyptus that I find really often comes from Cabernets from Australia. Other countries to explore? Well, South Africa. South Africa is a hot climate, so it does a really great job of Cabernet. And again, the Cape Doctor, which is the wind that comes off of False Bay in the Cape, keeps the grapes really healthy. So there's really no diseases or damage or anything like that. So you get these really healthy, robust, high alcohol Cabernets that are absolutely delicious and quite age-worthy as well. Dropped my paper. Other places, you've got this little thing known as a Super Tuscan in Italy, found on the coast, in the Maremma area, in Bulgari. Famous names like Sassicaia, Solaya, Ornellaia. Those are all some Cabernet-based wines. You can get something like this from the I Colazzi, which again is a blend, but Cabernet Sauvignon is in the blend for about $70. But if you want what we call a baby Super Tuscan, that also exhibits a lot of the same grapes, Cabernet blended with Sangiovese, perhaps some Merlot, perhaps some Cabernet Franc, you can find this one for about 25 bucks. What do we have in common with all of these Cabernets? Well, pretty much the blackcurrant is going to be featured in all of them. They will have high tannins and high alcohol, usually something over 13.5%, 13.5% and above. Price ranges, again, we've seen are very expensive from our first growth Bordeaux, very collectible, very highly sought after. Some of our big Napa Cabernets here that are very well known for their names, but also some really great values found in Chile, Australia, South Africa, and you can find Cabernet in all sorts of price ranges, anywhere from 17 to 25 if that's what you're looking to spend. Honestly, you should be able to find a Cabernet that suits your needs. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something today about Cabernet Sauvignon. Thanks for joining me. Ciao!